Hey guys, Logan here from Popular Woodworking magazine. Today I want to introduce you to a new tool from Bridge City Toolworks. It's not a new tool necessarily, but it's an updated new version of that tool. And that's this guy. This is the HP-6FX. This is the third generation of this tool. The first generation was out of brass. The second generation introduced different materials and some updates to it. And this is now the new third generation of it. And it has some really cool features that I want to show you. But first, let's walk through what you get in the basic kit. So this HP-6FX is in stainless steel. It's precision machined, like all Bridge City tools. It is machined to a T. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. And standardly, it comes as a rabbet plane. So if you take a look, I'll get the fence off here. So if we look at the sole, we can see that it has a rabbet blade that goes all the way to the sides of the sole, and that is a rabbeting sole, so there is knickers on both sides of that front sole. So with the standard rabbet plane, you can use the fence that's included to cut rabbets on work pieces. So you can simply set the fence to whatever width you want your rabbet to be. And cut rabbets. Now, if you need to cut cross grain rabbets, that's when you would rotate those knickers, and then you'd cut across the grain, and those knickers would score the fibers in front of the cut. A couple of the other accessories that come standard with this are going to be these two depth skids. These are if you need a plane stocked down to a specific thickness. You can set these on both sides of the plane, set them for your thickness, and then they act like a depth stop. You can plane parts to a consistent thickness. But one of the things I think that makes the HP-6 super cool is its ability to change soles. Let me show you what I mean. So the front and back sole on the HP-6 actually sit on little dovetailed slots. There's a dovetail shoe that matches up to that slot. You can slide the sole in place and tighten it down. Same thing with the rear sole. With the optional accessory kits, such as this guy here, you can add a different sole. So this one happens to be a dado and a grooving sole. So there's a cutter, a front sole, and a rear sole. So let's go ahead and switch this guy over. So we'll remove that front sole, and then this knob back here releases the rear sole, and you do have to back it off fairly far to be able to sneak that sole past that front shoe. There we go. So there's that rabbet sole removed. We'll put the front sole in place. Slide that there. Tighten that down. Then we'll slide the front sole in. And now we can go ahead and put the cutter in place. Now the depth adjustment on this plane has a little post, and the cutter has matching holes drilled into it, and that slips right in there. There we go. And this is one of the nice little things I like is this is a magnetic stop that the lever cap then presses against. There we go. And now this is kind of the same thing as the rabbet. Super easy way to cut grooves. Now, just like the rabbet sole, the front sole on this dado and grooving set has knickers as well. So you can do cross-grain dados. Those knickers will score the fibers before the blade, give you a much cleaner cut. So this sole is the radius kit. Now, if you look at it from an end profile, you can see it's rounded. This is designed to round over the corners on a workpiece. And this is going to slowly add the radius from the cutter onto your workpiece. Now this radius sole is available in a couple of different sizes. This one in particular I believe is a 6mm, so it's about 1/4 inch radius. And this really acts like a hollow molding plane would. That's one thing that I think makes this HP-6FX different than something like the Stanley 45 or the Stanley 55 or any other kind of traditional combination planes. With those, to get a different profile, you're just changing the cutter out, maybe adding some skates here and there. But with this guy, you are actually changing the sole, so it acts much more like a molding plane and it functions that much better. Now, one thing I do want to point out is any of these soles that have some form of shape to them, like this crown radius and the other two that we're going to look at here in a minute, have a honing guide with them. Now this honing guide is simply a block of milled aluminum. It is anodized and kind of slightly textured on the surface that you'd use for honing. And you are going to apply a diamond paste to this. And that's going to allow you to strop that edge and get it nice and sharp. So I just wanted to point that out with some of these profiled soles. Okay, so the crown radius blade goes back. And let's look at this one. And this is the 90-degree V-groove. The name kind of tells you what it does. This is for cutting a 90-degree V-groove. So this might be like cutting a detail on a project, or maybe adding a fillet to a molding, something like that. There we go. That's a really nice way to add a detail or a shadow line to a project. So this crown kit is going to have a particular size to it, much like the crown radius kit had earlier. So it's a great way to add a profile to the front of your workpiece. So with that 50mm radius on here, it adds a really nice gentle round over to the front of 3/4 inch stock. So if you're looking to add a nice hand plane to your collection and you've always wanted to mess around with a combo plane, take a look at the HP-6FX from Bridge City Toolworks. It's a multi-plane that I think works better than almost any on the market, and you're sure to be impressed with it.